Disclaimer, the comments made in this video are intended for entertainment purposes only and are not intended to offend anyone. Welcome back, folks. Get ready for triggered activists, shaky arguments, and moral lectures that collapse the second someone applies basic reality. Grab your popcorn. This one gets wild fast. First up, we've got a woke spokesman who swears white supremacy runs the world, only to fall apart the moment a calm man asks him to back it up with anything real.
White supremacy?
What?
Do you believe there's thing as white supremacy?
Of course I do.
Where's the proof of it?
What's the proof of it?
Yes. You made the statement just now. Where's the proof of it?
Yeah, well, open your eyes and look.
I don't see it.
You don't see it?
No.
Because I see it every day.
And give me one example of it.
The Klan.
The clans?
The clans. Ku Klux Klan.
But that's just this angry, hateful group of people who are mad. Like Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter is a black, radical, evil, agitative organization that was founded by a bunch of black lesbians and black homosexuals and radical white social justice warriors.
Are you against the lesbians and the homosexuals?
I'm against the radical ones.
The second Jesse pushed for proof, the confidence vanished, and he started scrambling, while Jesse stayed cool and shut the whole script down in seconds. Next, here comes another gem where a feminist is trying to explain why women avoid hard labor, only to walk straight into a question she cannot escape.
The argument that you're making is, as these other service sectors have opened up, men are gravitating into those service sectors instead of just manual labor, right?
Yes.
Then how come women aren't gravitating towards the manual labor sections?
Because the manual labor sections have been either taken over by technology.
No, they haven't. Has roofing been taken over by technology?
No, but what is it? It doesn't necessarily.
Has construction been taken over by technology? Roofing? Has even gardening, basic gardening? What about lawn mowing, lawn care? In fact, almost all labor I can think of, which now is heavily inundated with machines, still totally dominated by men. Almost no women do it at all.
But there's a lot less men in average doing those jobs compared to before, because you have had machinery replaced. If it took three,
this argument still makes no sense.
If it took 5 men to redo a roof or whatever, now it takes 2, right?
Yeah, why isn't one of them a woman?
No, because the point is, as a society as a whole, we have just moved away from manual labor. So obviously
this
a
argument
woman
makes no sense.
She blames robots, society, anything she can reach for, but every answer collapses the moment he asks why the jobs that still exist are filled entirely by men. Watching her scramble while he calmly hands her reality is the closest thing to a fitness test she'll ever take. Now, for a real reality check, we've got a woke punk trying to act tough on stage until a Special Forces father calmly explains just how close he came to meeting consequences he would not walk away from.
I don't know if I've ever met anyone more foolish than you.
Yes, sir.
You've come on stage and you're smiling and you find great humor in the fact that you're assaulted physically
there's no humor to it.
I've trained thousands of warriors, soldiers to take the battlefield in some of the most austere and dangerous conditions imaginable.
That's probably why your daughter's
I've come
so afraid.
looking for you, and I'm going to just tell you that by the grace of God in heaven, I was unable to find you. And it's only through my inability to do so that you still draw breath.
The kid smirks, interrupts, throws cheap shots, yet the more he talks, the worse it gets. The older man stays ice cold and strips the bravado right off him without raising his voice once. This time, we've got a woke critic trying to score moral points about church safety, only to forget one tiny detail that blows her whole speech apart.
It's disgusting that you came here to our state talking about our children that died in a mass as a political point. That is absolutely vile.
I live here, and I go to church here. Excuse me, ma'am, so pipe down, because I, as a resident of... I have just as much...
Hey, I think you need to pipe...
Excuse me, I have just as...
Pipe down.
As somebody who lives here, I have just as much standing as you do to talk about the dangers in churches and schools, because I go to church every Sunday. Do you? Because if you don't, I'm at more risk than you are.
No, you aren't.
No, you aren't. What
you are not.
Why am I not at more risk than you are? Can I have an argument instead of petulance? No, I can't. You're leaving. Okay, very good.
Where was the petulance?
Oh, that was indicated by my sarcastic imitation of, no, you aren't. That's petulance.
I'm talking.
Then please. Where do you go to church, Mom?
I don't go to church.
She comes in loud, lecturing a room about danger in churches. And the moment he asks the simplest question about where she actually goes, the entire argument crumbles. He stays calm. She walks straight into the trap, and the reset button gets slapped right on her outrage. In this clip, we've got a woke journalist trying to corner a man who came prepared with logic instead of feelings, and it backfires instantly.
In order to be able to think, you have to risk being offensive. I mean, look at the conversation we're having right now. You know, like, you're certainly willing to risk offending me in the pursuit of truth. Why should you have the right to do that? It's been rather uncomfortable.
I'm very glad I put you on the spot.
Well,
I'm very glad that I've exercised my freedom of speech.
You get my point. It's like you're doing what you should do, which is digging a bit to see what's going on.
So
and that is what you should do.
You haven't sat there and I'm just trying to work that out. I mean,
Ha, gotcha.
You have got me.
She pushes hard, tries to catch him slipping, and the moment he flips her own tactic back at her, the whole interview grinds to a halt. Watching her stutter while he calmly calls out the trap she walked into is pure gold. Coming up, we've got a woke military official trying to defend a program he clearly does not understand, and it goes downhill fast.
Demigender? Sir, that's a term of the people that are eligible for that particular scholarship that is available to. It's a person who looks at their gender in a different way than I do, sir.
Well, sure, that's all of these people. You're a cisgender man. You don't even get to apply.
Well,
do you know what demigender really means?
I'm not really sure, sir.
Right. So, do you know what agender means? All one word, not a space gender, but agender.
Sir, I don't.
Right. So here we are, pushing a fellowship, calling for people that you don't even know what the words mean, and the number one group of people, the cisgender men, are excluded. Now, in the name of diversity, equity, and inclusion, should we be pushing programs that we can't define that exclude the largest group of servicemen?
He stumbles through rainbow jargon, cannot define a single term he approves, and ends up admitting he has no clue what any of it means. The moment a US rep points out that the group being excluded is the largest one in the entire military, the whole DEI script collapses like wet cardboard. Up next is a woke radio host trying to corner a man who showed up with facts instead of slogans, and it goes sideways instantly.
In America, 60% of the shootings, robberies, and the homicides are committed by black people, often against other black people. You can't blame it on poverty, you can't blame it on racism. It is the breakdown of the nuclear intact family, and neither side is talking about it.
Let me ask you a question. What do white people do wrong?
What do you mean, what do white people do? I'm not worried about white people. I'm worried about what's going on with us.
But if there's systemic racism in this country, which we know it is.
No, I don't say there is. You say there is. I don't believe that.
Have you ever heard of the term Nick wake-up call?
No.
It is an incident where a person of color forgets that they are of color and are reminded by an unexpected act of racism.
I'm acutely aware, Charlemagne, that I'm a black person, just as you are a black person. And when Joe Biden insulted you by saying, you ain't really black, we don't know whether or not you want to vote for me or vote for Donald Trump. And Joe Biden has lied for decades about his civil rights record, claiming that he desegregated movie theaters and restaurants in Wilmington, Delaware, when he didn't do any of that. And he came in here and told you aren't even black unless you think a certain kind of way. It seemed to me that should have been a Nick wake-up call for you, but it wasn't, apparently.
The host asks loaded questions, tosses buzzwords around, and the moment he tries to lecture about racism, the guest flips the whole script back on him using his own political hero's words. Watching the host sit there in silence while his narrative gets dismantled is the cleanest shutdown of the day. Now for a classic pronoun circus, we've got a woke defender lecturing everyone on respecting identities, only to trip over the very pronouns she's policing.
Sam Smith, he, they, them, she, whatever he currently calls himself,
they,
she does, they
yes.
Whatever they. See, I can't call one person they.
Yeah.
I have a problem with that. There's only one of them.
Because you can't get your head around it.
They can't either because they keep
it's grammatically
changing
incorrect.
their mind what they are.
No, it's not their problem, it's your problem.
Well, if I said my pronoun was hottest man alive, that was my genuine pronoun, would you feel obliged to call me that every day? Hey, hottest man alive? No, you wouldn't, would you? No. So, in other words, it all depends who decides what they want to be called. Why do we have to call Sam Smith they?
Because we're respecting
So
their
why don't you respect
choice.
me? That's my choice.
When do I have to
it's
call
my
you?
choice.
When do I have to call you?
I want to be called hottest man alive.
Hottest man alive.
Yes,
all the time.
That is my choice, and I demand you respect it.
Oh, he's obviously confused. I'm not sure he would agree with you as defining him as confused.
He wouldn't, obviously. What do you mean he?
Them, what do you mean they.
You just misgendered Sam Smith.
She fights hard, scolds, corrects, and insists the rules are simple, until one slip proves even she cannot follow them. Piers catches it instantly, and her whole argument folds as fast as her confidence. Here we have a woke interviewer trying to run the same tired script about policing, only to get hit with answers he was not ready for.
You're the founder of White History Month.
Yes.
Do you agree or disagree with the George Floyd Policing and Accountability Act?
I totally disagree because, as we all know, George Floyd was a black, unemployed drug addict with a criminal record.
Let's clear something up, sir. You really should be ashamed of yourself. George Floyd is...
It's his fault.
He's because a cop killed him.
No,
now, my
he's...
question
Because he was a drug addict.
He pushes emotion, he tries guilt, he even throws shame at the wall, hoping it sticks. But Jesse stays calm and cuts straight through every talking point. The host keeps scrambling for control, and the more he panics, the clearer it is that his entire narrative just fell apart. Here's a good one where a masked campus revolutionary who hates the country yet somehow refuses to pack a bag, even when asked twice.
Hello, Charlie.
What's your name?
None of your business.
Okay, hello, nice to meet you, none of your business.
Thank you, I appreciate it. So, do you love America?
Yes, I do.
I hate America. Every state in the USA should be an independent country. What do you think of this?
Well, I just first have to ask, since you hate the country, do you plan to leave?
What do you mean by that?
Do you plan to go live in another country?
No, I do not.
America is the only country where even those who hate it refuse to leave. That's how you know you live in a great country.
They shout about how awful America is, the crowd boos, and Charlie calmly asks the most obvious question on earth. The answer? A fast no, of course. Nothing exposes woke theatrics faster than watching someone refuse to leave the terrible place they live in. Now check this out, a woke activist shouting about how white people are living on easy mode, only for a young guy to calmly step up and shred the entire victim script in seconds.
White people are not being hunted after. Y'all can come here and live a great freaking life.
So CJ, you're a black person. Are you hunted at the university?
You know, I don't feel hunted at this university, but I guess the difference between me and some people here is that I don't choose to be a victim, Charlie. Which I think is the biggest problem we have here today are people who wake up every single day looking for a reason to be oppressed, looking for a reason to cry and make an excuse about why they're not in a position to go win. I don't see the color of my skin as a disability. I see it as simply an accessory that I couldn't control. I've been black all my life. I've been black today, and I'm thriving here. That's a roll tide right there, right?
And so CJ, let me ask you, CRT, racist?
It's not just racist, it's the exact iteration of white supremacy just in reverse. I think it's important that we start teaching young people not to hate other people because of the color of their skin. We can teach black people to be proud of who they are without telling white people they should be ashamed of who they are.
He explains he is not hunted, he is not oppressed, he is not looking for excuses, and the crowd eats it up. Nothing shuts down woke outrage faster than someone who refuses to play the victim card they keep waving around. In this next clip, a feminist refuses to rethink anything, even when reality is shoved right onto the screen in front of her.
Who's the primary victim of the Ukraine war? Men or women?
If I'm standing on the same point I've been saying, I guess women.
Well, don't be stubborn. Actually, rethink. It's okay to change your mind.
Yeah, you can pull it. It's blurred, right? It's the blurred one? Yep. Okay, we'll pull this one up. So, on the left, these are all Ukrainian women that were screenshotted on dating apps in various other countries. On the right, we had to blur it out. I'll let you can make some assumptions about what's on the right, but it's males on the right, females on the left. Ukrainian men on the right, mind you. Does that change anything?
Sure, men are
Now, what if I told you for all military conflicts along those lines, it's about the same? That women get to escape and men have to stay and die.
You are making crazy assumptions.
She insists women are the primary victims of war, then laughs it off when shown exactly who is drafted, who stays behind, and who dies. Meanwhile, the host stays calm, drops receipts, and watches her brush off battlefield casualties like they are crazy assumptions. Perfect example of feelings trying to outrun facts. Comping up is a woke activist kicking things off with the classic check your privilege speech.
I'm gonna be blunt today. I need white autistic people to check their privilege.
I agree. White autistic... Hang on a second. Are we about to have a go at white autistic people here? Good. We need to. Okay, so all the autistic people watching this, the white autistic people. So that goes for the people who, are really good at piano and love Lego and love Pokemon cards and all that. And all the dudes that are they can't talk, they're non-verbal, this, that, and the other. And all of the chicks who think they're hot and have OnlyFans pages and have decided that they're autistic. This one goes out to you guys. Let's have a look what this lady has to say.
This morning I woke up to a post by a white autistic creator talking about unpopular opinions about autism and ADHD. And the very first thing...
Okay, my unpopular opinion about autism and ADHD is it's massively overdiagnosed in the current younger generations. These people are accessing mental health medications just for these diseases that they have learnt off TikTok TikTok that they have. Okay, so what problem does she have with these white people who happen to be autistic that are saying things? What is the privilege that needs to be checked?
And the very first thing on that post was that masking is exhausting and harmful, which 100% it absolutely is.
Masking.
But they
What's
also
masking?
follow it up by saying that masking is a useless skill.
Masking is when a person's intentionally or unintentionally hides aspects of their true self, such as true feelings, behaviors, and symptoms. So I think most of us mask in different circumstances when you go to different places or you talk to different people. But apparently with autistic people, they do it all the time when they're out in public. Okay.
Masking is not only useful, but extremely necessary. Autistic people mask for so many reasons, like keeping their jobs, avoiding bullying, avoiding mental and physical harm to their well-being.
Yeah. You're saying that this person needs to realize why they're so privileged as a white autistic person to be able to say that masking is an unnecessary skill. What is your point?
And for so many autistic people, it can actually make the difference between them being alive, especially for Black and brown autistic
What does
people.
someone's race have to do with it?
She's fired up, ready to scold the world for problems she only discovered 5 minutes ago. The guy hearing all this just stares back with that perfect mix of confusion and amusement, tossing out simple logic while she tries turning everyday behavior into some massive social crisis. Now, for a comedy version of reality being spelled out, Ricky Gervais tears the whole woke routine apart without breaking a sweat.
These people are virtue signaling. They're trying to bring people down to raise their own status. And they say it's because, no, we're protecting minorities. Like, they're basically saying minorities haven't got a sense of humour. And I get that as well, to what it's like to be outnumbered. In this country, we're still only 5% black, 5% Asian, 5% LGBTQ, you know, tiny numbers. Now, I'm a white, heterosexual multimillionaire. There's less than 1% of us. Do I whine? No. I don't mind. I just get on with it. Come on, Rick. Come on, Rick. I'm like Rosa Parks. Do you know what I mean? Except I fought for the right to never have to take a seat on a bus.
He mocks the idea that minorities need constant protection, then flips the script by calling himself a 1% minority with a straight face. The audience loses it while woke virtue signaling gets dragged across the stage. Perfect takedown dressed as a punchline. Next is a pride parade philosopher who thinks disliking an entire race is fine as long as it fits the woke script.
What do you think about white men?
I think it's just the term white man, just immediate turn off.
What do you think of black men?
Love.
Do you think it's racist to, by default, not like white men?
I mean, I don't think so, because I think there's a difference between like racism and that's an interesting question.
It is an interesting question.
Yeah, because like, I mean, I don't dislike, but there is like nervous feeling. I don't know.
So if you met someone who said that they get nervous around black men and that they've had bad experiences with black men, would you still consider that racist?
Ooh, yeah, I see your point.
If you want to escape all the woke media, then check out the new movie Nefarious. You can watch it on Vudu, Roku, Apple, and Google Play.
The moment the interviewer flips the scenario and asks if the same logic applies when the races change, you can almost hear the mental gears snap. All that confidence melts into stuttering, giggles, and a full system crash. That is what happens when selective outrage meets actual consistency. Here's a moment where Jeffrey Marsh tries turning a simple disagreement into a dramatic crisis, and it backfires instantly.
J.K. Rowling has been tweeting again, and she is a bigot.
I mean, she's never actually said anything bigoted against trans people. What she has said is that women's rights should not be replaced for trans rights. They are both allowed to exist. It doesn't have to be one or the other. And women's rights should not be eradicated, which they are being at the moment, just because there's a very, very small minority of people that are trans. So I don't see why the trans community is so offended by her protecting and fighting for women's rights. I really don't understand that, because don't get me wrong, I know that trans people are, or can be, and have been, oppressed in the past. You know, so why would they want women to have their rights eradicated, which is essentially will lead to oppression? why would they want that? So at times, the trans community do contradict themselves an awful lot. So J.K. Rowling has never once said anything remotely offensive to the trans community. She's never been rude or nasty, even though she's had all sorts of threats against her just because she believes in protecting women's spaces. So I don't really understand why she's been targeted so much. Are people that identify as trans really that offended by someone that is proud to be a woman and wants to fight for women's spaces and women's rights? Why are you offended by that? Unless you have an ulterior motive and agenda.
The guy calmly breaks it down, pointing out the obvious, while the woke script keeps trying to stretch reality into some tragic performance piece. He sticks to simple facts, and somehow that alone already has more impact than the whole speech he's responding to. And finally, we've got Ricky Gervais laying into the woke crowd that thinks their feelings should control the entire planet.
How arrogant are you to think that you deserve to go through life with no one ever saying anything that you don't agree with or like? I want people to stop saying that joke's offensive. I want them to start saying I found it offensive, because that's all it is. You're just telling me how you feel about it. There's nothing intrinsically offensive about this joke. It's trying to make I'm offended sound important. It's no different to saying I've got a pain in my leg. But I believe you. But there's nothing to do with me. But you shouldn't hurt people's feelings. Well, you can if their feelings are wrong. You know, if you don't like the facts, don't change the facts, change the feelings. So you don't have to pave the jungle. You can just grow up there and have a laugh about it.
Ricky Gervais speaking facts. I love that man. He is brilliant.
He breaks down the difference between that joke is offensive and I found it offensive. And suddenly the whole outrage routine looks as flimsy as it actually is. And that wraps up another round of woke noise meeting real resistance. Every meltdown, every tantrum, every shaky argument fell apart as soon as someone refused to hold back. If watching the outrage domino effect is your kind of entertainment, like, share, and subscribe. There is always another meltdown waiting.